Hello and welcome to The Real Entrepreneurs with Sergio Angulo. I'm your host, yours truly. This is episode number 1. And today, I have an amazing guest that I've been following for a really long time. But before I introduce him, I want to tell you a little bit about this top producing entrepreneur. He's been in the mortgage industry for 18 plus years. Growing up, owning a car was only a fantasy for him, and owning a home was just unimaginable. Now he prides himself with being able to help families reach the dream of home ownership. Joe Soto, welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sergio. I appreciate it. Super excited to be here. Episode number 1.
Numero uno.
Yes.
Can you believe it?
I'm excited, man.
This is like, it only happens one time, there's only one episode. So the first one is super important. And I honestly couldn't, have had a better guest. I really thought long and hard of who I wanted to bring on, and I wanted somebody with really good energy, but somebody that could bring value. And I know you're going to be able to do it. So thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Awesome. So, let's just jump right into it here. Let's just dive into with question number 1 that I have. What was the moment that you realized you wanted to run your own business and be a leader, Joe?
So for me, I've been in mortgage since 2004. I worked in a call center for a long time. I was the guy who just answered phone calls and did that for a long time. And I remember the moment, right? We have those moments in our life. And I had a manager at the time came over to me and was like, how many appraisals have you ordered this week? And I looked at him and I said, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, I have a newborn baby at home, right? I have a little baby at home. I'm not working for you, right? I'm working for her. And then, I answered the question. He walked around and then he went and asked somebody else who was much older than me. And I looked at that older person and I said, I don't want to be that. Wow. And from that time, I said, I need to get out of this rat race of the call center and I want to work on my own. I want to build a business for me, not for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that was the moment that I can put my finger on, exactly looking down at 10 cubes down at that other guy. And I remember him to this day and saying, I'm not going to be that. And so I took a leap of faith and said, I'm going to work on my own and try to build my own brand and my own business, and started from nothing, knew nobody, had no clients, database, nothing like that. Wow. Just me and my good looks, which doesn't take me real far.
You definitely have good looks, Joe. Yes. I guess one of the things that really has really stood out, right? Because I followed you from the very beginning, right? Right when I got started in the business as a realtor, you really know how to love on your clients, right? And I thought that was something that was, really stood out, right? I mean, you do it in a way that's just so natural. And so what's the number one thing that you do to really love on your clients? What's one thing that one bit of advice that you can give us as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, that you do to really love on your database, on the people that follow you?
So there's a couple of things. There's current clients and past clients, right? The past client thing, I do a lot of stuff, right? We do client appreciation events. I send birthday cards out with little lotto scratchers. I want to show my gratitude forever, right? Because people have lots of options, whether it's in mortgage or real estate or whatever. You have to show your appreciation to those people. So I'm really good about that. We send letters and do all of that. When a person comes to me, I think we do a really good job in listening, right? Why is it important for you to own a home? What's their why, right? Is it because you're tired of renting and your landlord, has raised the rent? Is it because you need a certain school district for your kids? Is it finding out what their why is and then catering to that, and then we do other stuff we love on people. We send lots of gifts and
You've
things
sent me
that.
Gifts before.
We send lots of stuff. If I see somebody's, having a baby or whatever, something on Facebook or Instagram, we'll shoot something out to them all the time just to show them we care, right?
Yeah.
That's just it.
It's important, right? I mean,
totally. I mean, people have so many options,
choices,
right? Why choose Sergio? Why choose Joe? And then you take that for granted sometimes. And I've been on when I first got in the business and I had no business, like I was just so grateful for anybody to talk to me.
Literally.
Right. Like that. I've take that with me, and it's the gift and the curse. It's part of, like, I have that mindset of, I don't want to lose it all, like every day. Right. Like that's just my life. I don't want to lose it all. So when you have that mindset, I think you always have gratitude.
Wow. Good answer to that question. Next, what would you say in your line of work is your favorite lead generation strategy currently, right? Market's changing, industry's changing. What is the one lead generation strategy that you're doing right now to stay relevant, to generate business?
So I'm old school.
Okay.
I use the phone. Like,
oh, okay.
I love calling people. I love getting on the phone, smile and dial.
Dial.
I make at least 100 outbound calls every Monday consistently. Wow. Like I have a spreadsheet and I fill it out.
To new people or
new people, current people, like just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so you have to stay in front of people. And I have a tracker. I track all my activity. So phone call, I think, is the number one thing. The second part is social, is just making content, being top of mind, giving people information, right? Like the home buying process is super stressful. So if you can help give people advice, I think that will, help generate more business over time. But I'm old school, man. Like nothing, you can't
picking up the phone and just.
I can call more people in an hour than you can see in an hour.
Wow. Yeah, it's very true.
100 times out of 100.
Are you doing like single dialers? Or are you doing like the 3 dial? I've heard of it. Okay.
I do the single dial.
It's a little intense, right? Like 3 dialers.
I haven't done that. Only because I think there's a delay on the answer.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I have it. But I'll do the one line and just bang through calls. Like, that's awesome. And that's part of the way I started in the business, was just being on the phone 7-8 hours a day. So like, it doesn't bother me. Like some people are like, oh, I couldn't do that.
Do it. Yeah.
For me, that's part of the game.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Do you, like, one of the things I've experienced, and I know other people in the business, that especially when you're like cold calling, do you feel like you have to like, or like, what do you do to keep your energy up? Like, I know that's sometimes like a hard thing to do when you're dialing. What is it that you do to like keep going and keep that energy up?
So I have a stand-up desk. I move around a lot. I'm walking around my office, figure eights, I talk and just lots of motion, I think, is my biggest thing. I don't take a lot of breaks. Like I don't go out and socialize. I'm pounding the phone. Yeah. Like that's awesome. Just it. But for me, it's stand up and walk around. I think if you sit, you just get sunk into the chair and you're like, I need to be
move around.
Yeah. I need to move.
Good tip. Good tip. I guess like I follow you obviously on social, and I see that you do like so much video content. How are you using, other than I guess social, how are you using video and just content in general to connect with your audience? Are you doing anything else other than social to put out that content?
So this makes me feel old, right? But
old is good though. Like
I've been using BombBomb
okay
for 8 or 9 years, right? Like, do you know what BombBomb is?
I'm using it. I just started.
Yeah.
You actually introduced me to it.
So I've been using it for 9 years, and I did an interview with the lady there, and she's like, "You've been a user for 9 years."
9 years.
And I was like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." So I utilize BombBomb on a number of different ways. One is I do like a recap. Like if I meet with the client, I do a video recap.
Oh, wow.
I send it to the agent. I send it to the borrowers so that they know what we talked about.
So just direct to them.
Just direct to them.
It doesn't go to anybody else. It's just a message to them.
Hey, Sergio, it was nice to meet with you today. We talked about you qualify for $650,000 with 10% down. You're going to get that as a gift from your cousin, and like whatever it is, because I find that I'm really good at meeting with the client, but I'm bad at like wrapping it all up, right? Like telling my team. And so I was like, I like video. Like, why don't I just do a video recap and everybody knows what we talked about?
And it's on their profile. It's archived.
It's archived. Yeah, it's there. The team has it. I save it in the CRM, the little video. And then we have a lot of in-process videos, which you may have seen, right? Like it's loan approved, loan sent to docs, CD out. Like we have all of these, we call them like milestone.
Sequence
yeah,
videos.
Milestone videos that go out, email and text.
Wow.
So that the client knows like what's happening. And I think in this business, we we speak in tongues, right? Like CRs and COEs and LMNOPs and blah, blah, blahs, right? Like to break it down into simple terms for people, they're like, hey, those videos were awesome. Like I can't tell you how many people love that little content because they just don't know and they're scared.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, when you're buying a house, you're scared.
When you started doing that, did you see like that you were able to save time? People weren't maybe asking you as many questions. Did it kind of help with that a little bit?
Yeah, I think so, because like this business for us, it's a cycle. It's a process, right? Like we know the process, right? It's offer accepted, it's escrow instructions, it's contingencies, inspection. But it helped for them to understand like what was happening and what was coming next.
Got it.
So it was really, really great idea. I don't know how many years ago I started doing that, but it was genius that I said, "Oh, I'm just gonna put this on video and send
it's
them out."
I mean, like the sequence or the milestone videos, they're just automated essentially.
Automated in the CRM.
Wow. And literally every business can do something like that, right? I mean, you don't have to be a lender, you don't have to be a realtor, but like if you're providing a service to someone, there's an operation, right? And there's milestones, and putting out a video to keep in touch, it's just like another touch with them, right?
Yeah.
And it's automated, it's free. It's like, it doesn't cost you anything.
I look at it like Chipotle, right?
Love
Like you
that.
walk to Chipotle and the lady's like, or the guy's like, do you want a bowl or a burrito? And you're like, I'll take a bowl. And then you move down the line. It's the same thing with financing and mortgage and real estate. You just have to develop that process and keep them down the line.
And keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
I like that. With the shifting real estate market and the current kind of economic state that we're in, so much unknown, what are you doing to continue to grow your business?
More activity than ever. So more calls, more face-to-faces. I feel like for 2.5 years, this business, we all got a little bit out of shape, right? It was,
Agreed.
everybody was motivated, right? Everybody was like, low rates, let me do something because everybody else is doing it. Now you need more contacts in order to close less deals.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's it. So it's doubling up on the activity. I mean, that's what's the biggest thing that you need to do is if you need more and more and more activity for sure.
You need to do more to just get even close to the same results, right? That we're going to be seeing
For sure.
to be able to ride this wave, whatever the unknown is. And I think what's interesting, like for me, you know, I talk to agents all the time, right? And it's like, well, how are you still doing business? Like rates are like, they shot up to like 7% or whatever, right?
Yeah.
How are you still helping clients? And it's like, well, you know, then rates came back down and I had a client ready to go and they took the initiative and they purchased a property. And at the end of the day, like I wouldn't have had that if I wasn't working 2-3 months ago, right? If I stopped and got scared and just decided to like not do anything like most agents, right? They just like, okay, well, I'm going to keep doing the same thing that I was doing before. I'm just going to do maybe even less because I'm a little bit less motivated because I'm scared, right?
Yep.
For me, it's like double down,
Yeah.
right? If you even want to get close to the same results, right? And I feel like that's what the direction that we're headed in. So, yeah, totally 100% agree. Do more, right?
Yeah. You have to do more and it'll pay off eventually. I liken it to, I read a book called Win in the Dark, right? And it's about doing all that work when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
Right. You're winning when the lights are off in the gym is the analogy.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I can do that. Like I can relate to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just try to keep it simple.
And that's when you get tested, right? Like when no one's looking, when it's dark and you're like, you know, you're alone in the office. Like, are you really putting in the work? Are you making that extra call? Obviously, the power hour for me, right? It's like that extra hour of work that I can do because I'm already set up in my day, right? I'm running, I'm going, and if I can get that one extra 30 minutes, that one extra call, send out that one extra email,
Yep.
like that's where the progress is made. That's where the growth is, right?
100%.
Right.
Yep.
So
100%.
I guess this is like the perfect next question. You know, you said double down, do more, right? To get the same results. How do you keep positive even though you see hard times coming, right? Or even you're in a hard time, right? How do you keep that energy going? How do you stay active?
So you're always in a storm, right? Like life is a big storm. I don't think it ever ends. The storm is always going. So for me, it's funny. because I think I'm always working on the mindset thing, right? Like I'm always in a bad headspace. People don't ever believe that about me. But I struggle with self-confidence. I struggle with like, am I doing the right thing? I struggle with like, is this good? Is this bad? Like every single day. And so for me, a lot of it is affirmations every day, right? Like telling myself I'm actually really good.
What are some of the affirmations? I just want to.
Oh,
Can you say one? I want to hear at least one, please.
Oh man, like simple stuff, right? Like I am a great husband and father, right? Like simple stuff. Like people do want to work with me and my team. I have like a whole group that I go through in the mornings and stuff like that, just because, you know, you what you feed into your mind is what you believe. I'm a big believer in that. So, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of Audible. I rarely listen to the radio in the car. Like it's almost always Audible or podcast, right? A lot of Audible. I'm always listening to some sort of book to try to help me get better, or, you know, some other coach and stuff like that. But I think it's a battle. I think sales is won and lost between the ears, right? Like you constantly have to refine what's going on mentally, because that'll stop you from making the next call. That'll stop you from seeing the next client. That'll affect you when you go on that next listing appointment, buyer's appointment, whatever it is. If mentally you don't feel like you're going to win, you lost.
Wow. That's agreed. 100%. I mean, it's about being laser focused, right? And having the right mindset, right? And just being able to go to battle.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the day.
This market's tough, right? Like again, it was so easy. For 2 years, it was like everybody was motivated. And now you have to educate people. You have to explain to people the benefits of owning real estate, why you want to build generational wealth. And you just have to, again, get up every day and know you're going to lose more often than you're going to win, but it's about those wins. You know, that's it.
Nice. Yeah. And, you know, what would you say that are some of the, the common myths about your profession that you would want to debunk?
So this is an easy one, because I think push button, get mortgage is total BS, right? Like there's no way.
Impossible.
It's not a vending machine, people.
No one's going to give you $500,000 by just pushing three buttons, right?
You're not pushing button and getting mortgage. That is not a fact.
What do you mean by that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So it's like you see this advertising, right? And people seem to think it's like that easy, where you're just like, hey, let me go online and, you know, whatever, I can find out how much I qualify for and I can have a house the next day, right? Like that there's so many moving pieces with borrowing $1 million, right? Like who's just going to go, hey, Sergio, you're a nice guy. I like your blue jacket. Go buy it. Here's $1 million. Like nobody's going to do that.
Impossible.
And so there's so many moving pieces that I think that's just a bad rap, because there's everything that can kill a deal is not push button, get mortgage, right? Like it's just, there's so much that goes into it. I think that's a huge myth, that people seem to think it's an easy, like one-step process, like a vending machine or Amazon Prime or something like that. There's no way. You've done enough deals to know, like there's so much that can go wrong,
so
right?
Much.
Like,
and you need to put the work in, right? To make deals happen and be on top of it and know your craft, right?
Yeah.
So,
And even when you think you have a perfect client, something comes up.
something happens.
Right? Like they change jobs, or they buy something new, or they started working here, but then they quit. They got a better offer. Like
They go lease a car, right?
Something.
How many times has that happened?
There's always something that happens. It's just this human aspect of things, right? Like manual data. If I type in, I make $1 million a month, right? Like, sure, I qualify, but that's not how the lender might look at it.
Yeah.
So I think that is like false.
Yep. Got it. And, you know, what's one thing that when you kind of decided, okay, you said that you were at that call center, right?
Yep.
And you looked at that guy 10 cubicles down. You're like, I don't want to be that guy, right? When you decided I'm going to go into, you know, this career, become a lender, what's one thing you wish you would have known before you made that decision?
I don't know. I don't know if there was anything I would have done before I made that decision to go into lending.
Okay.
Because I think going into sales in general, you're betting on yourself, right? Like, so maybe to bet on myself sooner would have been one thing. I think as I've gotten in the business, the one thing that that I learned is like not only professional athletes need coaches. We all need a coach, whether it's a life coach or a therapist or somebody to help you shoot free throws, Shaq, right? Like whatever
I
it
just
is.
got mine. Just got my coach.
Yeah. So I think everybody needs a coach, and finding somebody who's going to help bring you up is super important, for me anyway, personally.
Got it. You mentioned coaches, right? Like, did you get a coach right away, right when you started, or did it take a couple of years?
No, it took a couple of years, man. I did everything wrong for like 10 years. If I'm being totally honest, I thought I could figure it all out, right? Like I was like, no, I'm pretty good. I know loans. I did not. I think I met Rick Ruby, who runs the core coaching, in 2013 or 14 or something like that. So I had been in the business a while, and that's when I found this company, and I was like, dude, these guys are organized and structured and a little bit militant, but I need somebody to tell me what to do because I'm a sales guy and I'm like squirrel, right? So
super like just you get distracted
easily, right? Like it's
Same.
hard for me to look at that cup and not want to pick it up 10 times, but I've done really good so far not picking it up.
Yes, you've done a good job.
So I did it really wrong for a long time. And then I got somebody to help get me on track, right? Whether it was with prospecting or calendar or who to call and what to say. For a while, it was just, I was all over the place. It was ugly.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah, no, I just got my coach, and he's like holding me accountable to like the penny, literally the penny, like I'm totally like you, right? Like I'm like, let's just go and run and let's do everything. I mean, this podcast is literally that, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm just doing it, right? But sometimes you need someone to kind of like steer you kind of in the right direction. So agreed. A coach is important, right? When you're, I mean, I think I would have a coach now that I have one. I can't see my life now without one, right? My business career without a coach. I don't think there's going to be a moment where I'm going to say like, okay, I'm just going to like not have a coach anymore. Like it's just going to be, it's continuous, right? It doesn't end, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
When I first started coaching, my wife thought I was crazy because she's like, what do you need a coach for? Like,
what's wrong with you?
You're making money. You're fine. Like, what do you need a coach for? And then I took her to an event. And I was like, hey, I want to start this coaching. And she was like, this is like a cult. Like, you don't need people to tell you what to do. Like, you're a grown man. Like, what kind of grown man needs somebody to tell them what to do? And I was like, no, I really need this. She's like, all right, whatever. So she was supportive, but at the same time, she was like,
what's going on?
She's not a salesperson, right? So she doesn't get it. Now, like 7 years later, like we talk about me getting out of coaching, and she's like, no way. She's like, you're a different human being. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. Every once in a while, I'll be like, how about if I just stopped? She's like, no, don't do it. No. You need to stay on it. You need somebody to hold you accountable. You need to like know your numbers. So she bought in. It took like 5 years, but she finally bought in.
Wow. That's awesome. What's one challenge, right? And this is a big question for me because I've had a lot of challenges, right? I mean, I started in the business and like literally 9 months later, COVID started and like, bam, right? I was just thrown into a completely new market from one day to the next. Huge challenge for me, right? So I've experienced some big challenges, but in your line of work, what's one challenge that you've experienced that was just noted, like it's the one that you tell everybody, right? That is the challenge that you've overcome. How did you overcome it, and how did you get through that?
So it was the crash in 07, 08, right? Like I've been in the business since 03, 03, 04. I thought I was a really good loan rep, right? I was like making money, everybody qualified. I was like, cool, everybody gets a loan.
You get a loan.
Everybody, right? Like Oprah gave out cars, Joe gave out loans. It was like, no FICO, no problem. You get 100% financing.
Oh gosh.
And then the market crashed, right? Went kaboom. I took from Peter to pay Paul. Like I had a good 80 grand in credit card debt. Like my wife was supporting our family. She was the only one making money. Like I worked for 3 companies that got shut down by the FDIC. Wow. in 1 year.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. That was bad luck.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And those were dark times, man. Like, I just remember just it's humbling. You can't provide for your family. My wife was working 7 days a week, night shift, like crazy hours.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. She had 7 days a week and had a newborn baby at home. And she never once like put me down or anything like that.
Wow.
Like, she was super, super supportive. And, we went through that time. And I think what helped is that we had each other, right? Like, she never put me down. Right. And then I always believed in myself, right? Like, I didn't go out and start doing something else. Like, I'm a stubborn New Yorker. So like, I'm going to do loans. Nobody's getting loans, but I'm going to do loans.
Yeah.
And then I got fortunate because I got into a company, that was Atlantic and Pacific Real Estate that was doing REOs.
Okay.
And so REOs hit and they needed loan officers to help in that department. And so it worked out that I was in that area. And then I went from there to kind of growing on my own. But it was really just support. Like, my wife's support got me through that time. And then just continuing to believe in myself, even though it was probably just a small amount. Like, my confidence was super low. Like, you keep getting laid off, it'll beat you up.
Beats you up. Yeah.
We were at a wedding the last time it happened in San Diego, and somebody calls me up and is like, "Guess who's here?" I'm like, "Who?" They're like, "The FDIC. We're closed." I'm like, "Oh
Wow.
And that was the other kind of crazy moment for me when the FDIC shut our company down and they wouldn't let me go back in the building to get the pictures of my kids on the desk. And I was like, really? I'm like, that's like, you see me holding my daughter in that picture? I just want to go get that frame. And I remember the lady going, "That's property of the FDIC. You can buy it at auction." I'm like, "It's my face." So they took my picture and my database at the time.
Wow.
And so that was like valuable lessons, but I just kept plugging along, man. Like, hard work beats talent, you know,
let it stop you
every time. Yeah.
It's like you pick your heart, right? That's
it.
You have to just pick your heart and just do it.
You just do it. Yeah. You get excuses or results, right? Like, you're not going to have both. And I
mean, it helped having like an amazing wife, right? That just like
for sure. You. Yeah. She should have left me and beat me up and put me in a corner and told me to like go flip burgers probably like 12 times, but she never did. Like, God bless her. Yeah, she's special.
Shout out to
Kim Soto.
Yes. Okay. I like it. Thank you for sharing that. That was impactful. What is one bit of advice that you would give if I was, just an 18-year-old, or let's not say 18-year-old, I just graduated college. I'm 22. I have a college degree like most young people right now. And, I have no clue what I'm going to do with my life. What's one bit of advice? If I said, I want to become a lender, what's one bit of advice that you would give me?
Don't be afraid. Right.
What do you mean by that?
I think you have to have confidence in yourself and your ability. You can't be afraid to fail. Like, you're going to fail in anything in life. Anything that's going to challenge you, you're going to have failures along the way. So you're going to get in and you're going to get licensed and you're going to get rejected, and you just got to keep plowing through, right? Because the ceiling is super high. You can make as much or as little as you want. And if you want that opportunity, then it's theirs for you to take, right? Same with real estate. You can sell one house or you can sell 100 houses. It's what you put in is what you're going to get out. And that's what I always loved, because it wasn't show up and clock in and out and pay me for my 40 hours. It was like, if I put in 50 hours or 60 or whatever, if I put in extra work, I can see the results, and it works both ways, right? Like, there's times you put in a lot of work and you don't make any money. You're like, damn, what am I doing this for? But I think over the long term, if you're a new guy and just said, I want to get in, you just got to go all in, right? You just got to do all the activity and not be afraid to fail. You're going to fail. It's okay.
When you feel like, so you fail, right? And then you get back up. But like, to then go back out, right? And get uncomfortable again and try something new. And knowing that you have the chance of failing, how do you get through that? How do you get comfortable feeling uncomfortable?
You continue to do it. Like I remember when I didn't know any realtors, and I remember I'm going to go to broker preview because that's where realtors are. And I must have driven to broker preview like 3 or 4 times before I actually went in.
Oh, wow.
And I would sit in the parking lot and I'd stare at the building.
They're so intimidating, right?
And I'd go, I'm leaving. I'm not going in there. Like I was like sweating. I felt like I was going to throw up. I'm like, these realtors are going to yell at me. And I didn't do it for a long time. And then I just I kept showing up. People are like, hey, I like this Joe guy. And that's part of it too, right? Like
New Yorker.
Yeah. Like part of it is they think you're not going to show up.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's easy to go once and fail or not do well or not meet anybody and then not come back. But I realized like, hey, if I want to make money, if I want to take my business to the next level, I have to show up. So, I mean, that's one example of just like, it was miserable, Sergio. Like, it was so bad. I'd sit there and go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to walk in here right now. And I still feel that way sometimes, right?
Me
like
too.
I go to like a Christmas event and I'm like, oh boy, what's going to happen here? And then I went up knowing a lot of people. Like I've been around the block long enough where it's hard for me to go somewhere and not know somebody, but I still will sit in my car and be like, oh, this is
I was literally at a broker preview like a month ago and it was like, I was shaking. I was literally shaking. Like I didn't know anybody there first. And I was like, I'm going to go up to this person and I'm just going to introduce myself and I'm just going to say hello. It's like somebody that I followed online. And it took me, I would say, a solid 5 minutes. Like I walked around the house multiple times, solid 5 minutes before I went up to that person. So
yeah,
totally know what you're talking about. It's just keep doing it, keep putting yourself
showing
out
up,
there, right?
keep showing up.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know, you've mentioned, you've given some great like insight into your career, into what you do. How do you like balance it all? Like, how do you balance your career, your business, your team, right? And then your personal life?
It's a challenge I work on every single day. Kim Soto would probably tell you I don't do really good at it, for being totally honest. No, so I'm super structured. I'm an early bird. So from the time my kids were little, I realized I can get to the office early. And if everybody's sleeping, they don't miss me. Right. So everybody's like, man, you're such an early bird. I'm like, yeah, that's because everybody else in my...
What time are we getting up? What time?
5, 4:30.
5, okay.
Yeah. I'm in the office by 6 almost every day.
Wow.
So I'm up super early. I get stuff done while they're asleep and stuff, especially when they're little. Like they don't need me during that time. And then what I got really good at was shutting off email. So I don't get email notifications. Like when I get home, I shut it off. I will look at it sometimes, but I'm not looking for every little bling, bling, bling. Mm-hmm. And I think the time goes by so quick, man. Like I look at my daughters, like I have a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old. Wow. She'll be 12 soon. And the time flies. Like I've missed a lot of stuff, Sergio. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I've missed a ton. And I can't get that back. Right. Like I regret that I can't get that back, but I've also done some good things for their future, right? For their family, for their future. So it's a balance. I think it's just when you're with them, be present, give the best of you, not the rest of you, right? Like that's something I'm constantly working on because it's so easy to pour everything into like your work.
It consumes you, right?
Consumes you. And then you walk in the door and you're like, throw your keys down. I'm tired. Leave me alone. Like, and that's not how it should be, right? Like your number one client, and my coach tells me this all the time. My number one client is my wife.
Yeah.
Like 100 times out of 100, right? And so you have to treat your spouse like your number one client. And it's something I need to work on all the time, right? And with my kids all the time. But I've gotten better. We do vacations. Like I've actually done real vacations, not like the realtor vacation like where you're on the phone and you point 1 minute. Just one more second.
I've done that multiple.
No, that's every vacation, right? But my team is amazing.
Okay.
Talk
about that. Your team, I like, you're on vacation. What is your team doing? How are they running their operations? What's going on?
They're amazing, right? Like I've got awesome people. Alicia on my team is our superstar.
I love Alicia.
Yeah. And, Rita and Jose and Kelly, like they're just super awesome. I think they realize I grind super hard, right? Like they see me, they're like my calendar every day, like it just doesn't stop, right? Like it goes all day long. That they realize when I'm not there, they try to handle as much as they can. So client calls, client appointments, signings, like
they want to help, right?
Yeah,
they want to take it on.
They really do. Yeah. And I'm super fortunate because I didn't always have team members like that. Yeah. I had team members where I'd be in Hawaii with my family and I'd spend 6 of the 7 days in the hotel room.
Yep.
Right. Like on the computer. So I'm super blessed that I've got people that really truly have my back and our clients back, right? Like it's not just me, like they want to take care of the client.
They care.
They care. Yeah. And
like, you almost can't pay for that, right? Like you can't pay someone to care.
And somebody to have that can do attitude and want to attitude.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a lot of people be like, that's not my job. And for us, we don't hire people like that. Like everybody does everything. You're the CEO and you're the janitor, right? Like I will do any job that it takes me to do. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You want to need credit repair, you want to schedule an appointment, you want to go drive it, like whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And everybody on my team has to have that mindset, like that team attitude. We don't push each other down. Like we're bringing each other up the mountain.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm super blessed to have awesome people around me.
Any piece of like tech stack that like integrates them, that makes them talk to each other. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Like how they communicate?
Yeah. Like how have you integrated your team together to kind of help them all, like for it to function, right? What's any nuggets that you can give us?
So
I guess it's specific to lending, but like I'm sure like some of it can probably help other people, other entrepreneurs.
No. So the number one thing you have to do is a team meeting every day, no matter what. It doesn't matter if
you're in Hawaii.
It doesn't matter if I'm in Hawaii. I will get on a 30-minute call and go, all right, what's going on? Would you need me on something? What are the issues? So you have to have a team meeting every single day to discuss what's important, what's not important, what's going on. I think that's number one in any business. Even back in the day when I worked for ESPN Zone, like we did a rundown before every shift, right? Like it's an ESPN, the company does a rundown before every sports center.
Wow.
So I think that's super, super, super important that you have that. And then for us, it's a CRM. Like we all live in Salesforce. You can't work for me if you don't use Salesforce. And we communicate with notes. We communicate with tasks. Like everybody is integrated in that web, so that if there's something, if I talk to a client, but I need you to call them back tomorrow, I can set you a task, call them tomorrow, and it'll show up on your task list the next day.
That's awesome.
And everybody buys in, like everybody uses it, and there's no like, oh, I'm not good at it. Like it's a non-negotiable.
You're doing it.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah. If you do not want to use Salesforce, you just can work somewhere else.
Not for the Joe Soto team.
Not at all. Not 100%.
I think like, I guess this is like the perfect segue to my next question, but like you mentioned, like they have to have buy-in, right? Your team members have to have buy-in, and they have to be like, be able to be the CFO and the janitor, right? How do you create that culture? Like that takes some work. How did you do that?
I messed up a lot.
Got it.
Messed up a lot. Slow to hire, quick to fire. Right. Like somebody told me that and I didn't listen for a long time.
Slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yes.
I'm writing that one down.
If you have to do multiple interviews, you have to do disc tests, you have to bring people in that meet your culture, right? Like let them know what your culture is and what you're looking for. Have them meet the team, right? So you're like me probably, in that I see the good in everybody.
Literally everyone.
Everybody. I'm like, all right, so I need a new marketing person. This guy has an accounting background, but I can make him into a marketer because I'm Joe and I can make anybody anything.
And he's a great person.
Yeah, and he's so nice, right? I think everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
So I have Alicia, and if she listens to this, she's going to be like, damn, you threw me under the bus. But like Alicia and Brad at my company, like they see through everybody. So they will filter people before they get to me.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or having somebody else just interview them, because inherently, like my personality is I see the good in everybody and I can make them do whatever I want them to do, right? Like I can turn them into this.
Yes.
And it's 100%
And you need to fill in
false.
the gap, right? So like you have a need that you need to fill. And then so you just want to get there as, you know, you want to be like water, right? You want to go down the path of least resistance. So you want to fill that gap. And so I agree. Maybe getting someone to interview them is a great way to like make sure you keep the culture good, right?
Yeah. We bring people in, we have them meet the whole team before we hire them, right? Like if one person says no, it's a no.
Wow.
Pretty easy, right? Like, cause
Just like that.
just like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Like if they're like, I don't know about this guy, it's like, okay, we'll find somebody else. I mean, that's been a big change for us because we all have to work together, right? Like this business is super hard. Any business is hard.
Yeah.
And so you need to make sure you have the right people around you. And I read something literally this morning, I think it was in a John Maxwell book that said like the CEO of the company, they pick and choose who they work with, right? Like I pick the people closest to me, but your employees don't. And so you have to make sure you have that camaraderie because one bad apple spoils the bunch.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. And then you're done. You're trying to fix that. And A players, so every team has their A players, right?
Yep.
A players will not tolerate C players. The C player will keep being mediocre.
Yeah.
Eventually the A player is going to go, I'm out.
Wow.
Right? The A player is going to be like, done.
Totally.
No deal. Like I'm way better than that person. I don't need to deal with that. And then you lose the A player. So you can't let C players ruin.
In.
No, can't even let them in really, but.
Wow. You're dropping like nuggets. Like these are like gold mines here. You're just
I've messed up a lot, dude.
Wow.
I've just
18 years.
Yeah, lots of mistakes, like lots of errors. I mean,
And that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's like the mistakes make you essentially, right? You're a product of your experiences at the end of the day. So
you learn what you like, you learn what you don't like, you learn what you'll tolerate, you learn what's non-negotiable. I think that's just part of being a business, right? Being in business, having a business, like that's just what's going to happen.
that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Last question, and then we have our game, okay, which is going to be fun. I'm excited for that. Quick, 3 influential people that have just changed your mindset, your career, have really made an impact in your life. 3 influential people.
I gave this a little bit of thought.
Okay.
So first is my mom. My mom is the hardest worker I know. She did everything for me to put me in private school, to working 2 jobs, to sacrificing everything ever and never complained, like never was like, I'm working this for you, right? Like it was never like that. And so my mom, I always joke that I'm the hardest worker in the room, but my mom is the hardest worker in the room.
Wow.
Right? Like 100 times out of 100. Second would be any one of my coaches, right? So Rick Ruby runs the core. I could say it's Rick Ruby, but I've had so many amazing coaches throughout my life that have constantly filled those gaps, right? Whether it was team building or prospecting or just leadership or whatever it was. Over the last, 7 years, I've had some amazing people that have really, really, really helped shape me, like truly, truly shape me. And then the last one I thought of, it would be really easy to say my wife. That's like the PC answer.
I think you should say your wife.
I'm not gonna,
Okay,
honey.
okay.
I still love you. And then after I say the answer, it's going to be even worse. Okay. Right?
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Soto?
This Kim Soto, I am sorry. You are 3, but 3B,
3B. There you go. 3.5. Okay.
3.5 is going to be Biggie Smalls.
Oh, wow.
All right. Random, right?
Okay.
Like, where'd you come
Can
up
we play
with?
a Biggie Small song real quick?
How do we play Biggie Smalls and compare that to your wife? So I say Biggie Smalls, but it's really music.
Got it.
Right? Music, I think, has shaped me, like growing up and listening to hip hop music and kind of where I came from has always like 90s hip hop takes me back to that kid in Brooklyn on the street, that kid who never thought he'd get off the street, that kid who just hung out on the stoop, right? Like it takes me back to there. But at the same time, it brings me up. Like you put on a good song and like, boom, changes everything.
The energy just like
Energy changes, mindset changes, like with just a song hitting. So I feel like music has shaped a lot of me as well because Like I could be having a bad day and a song will come on and it's like, boom, great day. I'm like, dude, that's a great song. So music in general, I think would be number 3, but
That was
Kim
powerful.
Soto is really number 3.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna keep it at Kim. So that's the answer. No, but powerful. I mean, that's
Yeah,
wow.
that's a big one for me.
Yeah,
you know?
music, art. Just it takes you. It could just take you to a completely other place that another place that you're
Changes
not
that
in.
mindset,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a mental game for sure.
Good answer, Joe. Well, now this is the most important part of the entire show today. Okay, it's our game, and we call it Hot or Not. Okay, and the way that the game works is I'm gonna tell you a topic or statement, and all you need to do is respond hot or not. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna make a statement. I'm gonna say In-N-Out double cheeseburger animal style, and then you would say
Super hot. Yeah.
super hot, right? Okay, cool. So we get it. We get the game. Okay, so are you ready?
That sounds so good.
It does sound good right now.
Sounds so good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Okay, so let's do this. Online leads.
Not hot at all.
Interesting.
I'm not a fan. I did it for 7 years.
Oh, 7 years.
Yeah, I did Lending Tree, lower my bills. I feel like conversion's super low. I feel like people aren't very loyal. But if you're growing your business and you need to build that database, it works, right? Like it's going to start to feed the machine. But from a conversion standpoint, I think it's better to try to work with people who know, like, and trust you already versus trying to earn that. That's just my 2 cents on it.
I love it. Sending past clients gifts.
Love it. Hot. Yeah, I think
It's
it's
hot or like
super hot.
Super hot,
I send
okay. I'm
people
like,
things-
that's like Joe Soto, right?
yeah, I
there.
send things all the time. Like
okay.
random things. People are like, dude, I just had a guy say, I got a flag from my house. I think that's from you. I'm like, yeah, that was for me. He's like,
That's
thanks.
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm big on little, like for some people, that's their love language.
Yeah.
It's not mine,
Yeah.
but I like to do it for others.
For most, I think
Yeah.
it is, right? People love getting gifts. Hiring the right people.
Super hot. Very important, right? It's all about who you hire.
Got it. Cold calling your sphere of influence.
Ugh. Not a fan of cold calling. I like warm calls.
Warm calls. Okay.
So I always call with something to say, right? I'm calling to invite you to something, or I'm calling to give you something of value,
Or
right?
follow up maybe on something
or a
that you
follow
gave
up
them.
or something. Back in the day, I
like that.
would lie, like I would call people. I was clueless.
Wait, what was the lie? I want to hear what was the lie.
The lie was great. So like I would be calling you, right? Like I'd see your name in the phone and I'd be like, oh, Sergio's in Montebello, right? And I'd be like, hey, Sergio, it's Joe. How you doing, buddy? I was just driving through Montebello and I thought about you, so I gave you a call. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in like Anaheim, right? Like I would just pick whatever city the person was from, and that was my connection. Like,
And then
hey,
bam.
and I had nothing else to call about, so I just wanted to see how you're doing. Now it's more I call people to talk about wills, trusts, client events that we're doing, right? Like I always have something to invite them to. But back in the day when I had nothing, I would literally be like, oh my gosh, I was just talking to a client who's looking to buy in Huntington Beach and I thought about you. And they'd be like, really? That's so nice.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, it was a lie.
love
Sorry
it.
if I ever called you and said that to you.
I think you have actually.
I probably have.
Coaching. What do you think?
Imperative, super hot. I think everybody needs a coach. I think accountability is what you pay for.
Yeah.
Right. Some people hate the accountability and they don't want it, then it's not for you. Right. But if you want growth, Michael Jordan had a coach, LeBron had a coach. Like you need to have somebody to guide you.
One coach, multiple coaches. Which one would you say?
I think you need multiple for different areas
Different
of your
stuff,
life.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like
think-
fixing up here, right?
Yeah.
And maybe fixing here.
Yeah.
And then like fixing the bank account, right? Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit.
Like you just need it all. You different areas in your life and at different times in your life.
Yeah.
Right. Like at different times in your life, different things will be important and need help.
Got it. Monthly expense and income tracking. Dun dun dun.
So, again, my wonderful wife, I track it to the penny.
Okay.
I've tracked it to the penny probably for like 7-8 years.
Okay.
I
But
run,
not from the beginning.
no,
You weren't doing it in the beginning.
until my coach makes me turn in a personal budget
Okay.
and a P&L every month.
Every month.
Every month.
Got it.
So I run the P&L to the penny.
Okay.
And I run the personal budget. Like my wife will write a check for $37 and I'll be like, who'd you write a check to?
I have to report it.
I have to put it in a category. And so I'm OCD about it. I think you need to count the money. You need to know what's going out because you think you're really good at saving and you probably suck at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agreed. Every entrepreneur, I mean, any business owner, you need to be knowing what's happening with your money.
You need to track
right?
your money. Yeah.
Google and social media ads. So spending on Google and social media ads. Have you done it hot or not?
I'm going to say not because I'm not good at it.
Okay. Okay.
Because I suck at it.
An honest answer.
Right? Like, boost post. I just hit the button and just
$30 down the
I
drain.
give Zuckerberg $30, right? I'm like, here you go, buddy. Like I should just mail it to him in an envelope so he doesn't have to claim it on taxes. I'm not good at it. I think it can work for people, but I suck at it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Having a hobby.
I have no hobbies.
No, what? Joe Soto, no hobbies.
No hobbies.
Can we make that like Joe Soto? No hobbies.
My hobby is work, and it's
Okay,
sad.
same.
It's sad. I don't like golf. I don't know. My hobby's my kids. So I'm going to say not on hobbies because I'm not good at it.
Honest answer. Networking events.
Not. I hate it.
Got it.
I go, and it's funny because you like me telling you this, you wouldn't think. Like,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
I
"Oh my
would
God."
honestly think like Joe is like that. That's why I put the question in here. You know,
Joe loves
topic.
networking events. It's like it's forced.
It's forced.
It's
yeah.
forced. I go and I'm personable and I'm friendly and I like it. Like I'll do it, but when I get in my car at the end of it, I'm like,
Thank the Lord.
put on the music.
Yeah.
Like, let me get me home.
Like you'd rather be like making the money, right? Instead of like,
Yeah, I'd rather be
potentially something
making-
could come out of this.
And honestly, I'd rather just be at home with my
your family. Yeah.
Like I look at it. I'm not a happy hour guy. Like you'll rarely catch me go to happy. Like let's do happy hour. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but I go. It's necessary, but it's not my jam.
Email marketing.
Hot. I think email marketing is good. I like adding the videos in it. So
Okay.
I think you can touch more people and they can see you when you add videos in it. That's why I'm such a fan of Bomb Bomb.
Got it. And video content.
Must do video. Super hot on the video.
Super
right?
hot. I just started.
Yep. The videos are really good.
happening.
Dude. The videos are really good.
Shout out to my videographer, Joaquin.
Yes, Joaquin. He's
Yes.
doing amazing. You have to be there, right? People are going to get their information from somebody. So why not be you? And right now we're in this world where the attention spans are so small,
Super small. It's
right? Like
2 seconds, and you need to capture them, and then like,
oh, dude, I'm doing all these new reels, and I'm like trying to keep them 30 seconds. I'm like, dude, how can you be really like impactful in 30 seconds? But people won't listen to you. A minute's too long. They're like, oh my God, he talks so much.
so video content,
Super fire.
super on fire.
Yes, 100%.
I love it. That was a great game. Thank you so much for playing.
Yep.
And Joe, that's it for the podcast today. Thank you for being part of it.
Yes.
It was amazing having you as guest number 1 on episode numero uno.
Yeah.
And tell us where can our listeners connect with you? How can they connect with you?
Oh yes. Follow me on Instagram at your favorite loan guy.
At your favorite
loan guy.
Got it.
Same thing on TikTok. Same thing on Facebook, on every YouTube.
Your favorite loan
No,
guy.
YouTube. I think I'm Joe Soto team on YouTube.
Joe Soto team.
I got a lot of videos on YouTube too. The whole mortgage process, all
Everything.
that stuff's on there. So yeah.
And
check me
email,
out.
phone number.
866 Joe Soto.
Okay. Oh, super easy.
Super easy phone number. 866
Joe Soto.
866 Joe Soto. And then email is just joe@joesototeam.com.
Thank you so much, Joe,
Yes.
for being on.
Super
It was a
awesome.
pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.